Hello beautiful, welcome back to another episode of Homework. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm doing to prepare for pregnancy, even though my husband and I aren't in the baby making season yet. So I thought it'd be fun. I have some notes here and I'm just going to share with you what I'm doing currently. Now, I am not an expert here. I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing, and hopefully this will inspire you to also prepare for pregnancy, even if you might not be yet in the baby making season. Before I get started, I had to share with you about Young Homemakers Club. Young Homemakers Club is a community that I created for a woman like you who loves homemaking, birth, motherhood, being the best Proverbs 31 woman that you can be. That's what Young Homemakers Club is about. So if you want to be a part of a community of women, there's going to be a lot of amazing things coming with Young Homemakers Club. Currently, it's just an Instagram page and a TikTok page. We have about 4,300 followers on TikTok and about 500 on Instagram. I started it a couple months ago as a way to just be a community for young women, and it has been growing ever since. And this will turn into a much bigger thing in the future. We're going to have a book club, and it's going to be all about femininity topics and marriage and different things like that. We're going to have a community. We're going to have merch that's all to do with Proverbs 31. So if you want to be a part of the official Proverbs 31 community, then definitely go and follow Young Homemakers Club. It's the Young Homemakers Club on Instagram and TikTok so far, and on Facebook. And then we are going to be growing and growing and growing from there. So if you're interested in that, then definitely go and give it a follow. Let me know what you think. And if you want to be featured on Young Homemakers Club, definitely let me know. I'd love to see your video, and we'll have you on the page. So with that being said, more to come with that in the future, but let's get right into another episode of Homework. I have some notes here, and what I've done is categorize them into three bigger categories. One is health, education, and then spirituality. And hey, we're Christians here, none of that other woo-woo stuff, okay? So before I get into that, I want to share with you why I'm even excited to prepare for pregnancy, and that's because I cannot wait. I'm so excited to be a mother in the name of Jesus one day, and I cannot wait to go through the process, to be pregnant, to have a baby, to raise that child, to love the Lord, and to be a good human in society. And what I know is that being pregnant and giving birth, there's a lot to it, right? It's really taxing on our body. And I've asked so many women, and I'm going to get into this, but I've asked so many women their stories, and there's been women who have told me, I wish I would have done this before I was pregnant, or I wish I would have done this while I was pregnant. So because I've heard so many things, and because I'm so excited for it, I want to make sure that my body and my mind is the best that it could possibly be before I give birth and before I am pregnant. So that's why I'm super excited. It also talks about in Psalms that children are a reward from the Lord. They are a blessing to have. And I want my body to be the best little home for my baby while my baby is in my womb. And I want to be the best type of mother that I could possibly be when I do give birth one day. So that is why I'm doing my best to prepare now for the future. So with that being said, let's get right into it. The first thing that I'm doing to prepare for pregnancy is to be an all-around healthier person. And I actually started this journey in January, and I did have another video earlier this year. I believe I did talk about my me wanting to lose weight during the year, and that was really when I started to be consistent. I haven't been consistent with working out since I was in high school, and it has been really cool this year. I don't know what switched me, but I just got really serious about my weight, my health, and everything like that. And so far, I've lost 33 pounds. So if you guys want to learn more about what I'm doing, I can definitely do another video on it. I know I definitely want to do another video on it when I'm at the end of my weight loss journey. I'm still in the middle of it, but I'm doing a lot of working out. And here's why I have a huge emphasis on that is I ask so many women about their birth stories. And it's because most women, when I ask them about their birth stories, most of the time, like 99% of the time they're willing to share. So I'll get excited, I'll ask them, and they'll tell me if they got an epidural or not. They'll tell me how their labor went, and they're really open most of the time to just share. So anytime that I get a chance to learn or educate on a birth story, I always ask, because a lot of times those women actually share with you tips and things that they wish that they would have done in their pregnancy. And what I've learned is that out of the dozens and dozens of women that I've asked about the pregnancy, if the woman wasn't fit during and before the pregnancy, the birth was worst most of the time. And then if the woman was healthier, like she was very fit, she cared about being healthy, she cared about the food that she ate, a lot of times her birth went easier. And I'm not saying that's a blanket statement for everyone, but I'm saying that that's what I've noticed out of the women that I've seen. I've also had women tell me that they wish that they would have walked more during their pregnancy. They wish that they would have been healthier before they got pregnant. Or, man, my birth was terrible. It's because I ate a whole bunch of junk food when I was pregnant. So right now in my life, I'm putting a huge emphasis on eating good fruits and vegetables, on eating good high quality meats, and putting high quality foods into my body. Not only that, like I said in scripture, we are a temple of the Holy Spirit. So why would we put junk into our body? I'm not saying I'm perfect at that. There's some times where I, eat certain things, but 85% of the time I'll say I am eating whole foods and I'm exercising and I am working out. So that's what I'm doing with my health. I am being an all-around healthier person. I will say that at home, I mostly eat whole foods at home. And then when anything that I bring home that's processed, I make sure that it's a good processed food. And here's what I'm saying by that. Like, people will say, oh, I eat no processed foods. But let's be honest here. Some of the things that I get are processed. But I always make sure that if they are processed, there's only a couple ingredients in it, and I know what those ingredients are. And I make sure to not get anything with seed oils. I just do a lot to make sure that all the food that's coming into our home is actually good for us. I had to stop and tell you about Masa Chips. You guys, Masa Chips is a 3-ingredient tortilla chip brand that literally only has organic corn, 100% grass-fed beef tallow, and sea salt. That's all these chips have in them, so you can eat chips without feeling guilty afterwards. So you definitely have to go and try them, honestly. You can use my code to get 10% off. And get this, when you use my code, it's only $14.40 for you to get 2 of these things. They're huge, and they are absolutely delicious. It's not like the other brands where you try and get the seed oil free ones, but they break easily and they're grain free and all these other things. I like these because they're corn and they're organic corn. They don't use pesticides or vegetable oil, non-GMO. Like, come on, you gotta go and try them. It's only $14.40 for you to get the trial pack. So you definitely wanna go. You'll get 2 of these in the pack and it's only $14.40 with free shipping when you use my code. I just wanted to share that my code did change from Anastasia Hunu. Now it's just ANA10 to make it easier for you. That's ANA10 at checkout or masachips.com/ANA10. All right, let's get back into it. So I take a lot of time when I go shopping to make sure I'm getting organic foods as wherever possible. It's not always possible for every single one, but I make sure I get as much organic foods as possible, grass-fed beef, anything processed that I bring home. If it's chips, I make sure that it's not made with seed oils. I do a lot to know that this house, that my husband and I are being healthy. So that's what I'm doing right now. And it has been such a blessing. Like I said, I've lost 33 pounds and it feels great. It feels great to know that I am losing weight in a sustainable way. And it feels amazing to know that one day when I get pregnant, because I have these habits now, it will hopefully stick with me then. That's what I'm doing for the health side of things. Another thing that I am doing is taking prenatals. Recently, I went to a doctor and she had told me that taking prenatals is good to do before you are giving birth, even before you are trying. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm taking prenatals. I made sure that I could find the healthiest brand that I could at Whole Foods and wasn't completely breaking my bank. I don't love all the ingredients in it, so I'm gonna find an even healthier brand in the future. But that's what I'm doing as well. Another thing that I'm doing when it comes to health is I am making sure that I make a lot of the things that we eat from scratch. So I do a lot of baking breads. I do a lot of just making things homemade. And I understand not everyone likes to do that. I like to do it because I think it's really fun. It's really enjoyable and peaceful for me to be in my kitchen and form breads and put nice designs on it and try new things. I love it, and it's also healthier to make things at home. Even if everything is not completely organic, it's so much healthier to make things at home than buying from, a local restaurant that might be using bad ingredients in their food. So I like that I know exactly what's put into whatever I'm creating. I do a lot of making my own salsas. I make pickles. I do things that I can make from scratch, and then I try and make it in bulk and keep it in my home so that we aren't eating things from the store that are bad for us. Another thing that I'm going to be doing, so I had to just put this in here, is doing pelvic floor exercises. I know that is one thing that I've heard about many times, but I haven't even really gotten into it yet. So I am going to be starting to put that into my exercise regimen, is doing pelvic floor exercises, because I heard that's really good for pushing out a baby one day. So I really want to be good at that. I just want to be the healthiest that I can possibly be during my pregnancy, because I just realized that there's so much less complications a lot of times when women are just all around healthy. So that's what I want for myself. That's the goal. And that's what I pray will happen before I get pregnant one day, before I give birth. Even if I were to get pregnant tomorrow, it is still good to exercise and walk and do things during the pregnancy so that, by the time I give birth, I can still have a good birth. All right, so that's all for health. I know that was a long one, but I'm so passionate about being healthy now. It's because I've seen the difference in my body, and I feel better, I look better. Let's be honest here. Don't you want to be like a really cute pregnant woman? At least for me. I just desire to be that like small, cute pregnant woman that has like a big bump. Like, I think it's so cute. Recently I was at a restaurant and I saw this beautiful pregnant woman come by, and she was just so fit and she had a big belly and it was just adorable. And I was like, wow, that is such goals right there. So yes, some of it is vain. Some of it I just want to look cute as well. Let's be honest here. All right. So, but it really is because of the health situation, but I just got to be honest with you guys. The next big category is education. I am doing a lot to educate myself on birth, on pregnancy, and labor, breastfeeding. I am doing the most to educate myself, not only because I find it so fascinating and interesting, but because I want to be mega prepared before I give birth, before I'm pregnant, and I think it's just so important. So this is what some of the things that I'm doing to educate myself. I'm asking women about their birth stories. And I did speak a little bit about this earlier, but many times when I meet women who are mothers or who have just given birth, I'll ask them about their birth story. And I'll ask them if they're comfortable. Obviously I'm not going to force them to tell me if they don't want to, but you'll realize that a lot of women are open to share their birth story. It's so fun. And every time that I ask, they're very interested. They want to tell me about it. They'll tell me about the gruesome parts, about the good parts. They'll tell me about their birth stories. And every time that I hear a birth story, I just kind of leave it in my mind. Okay, this is what I'm going to try to do. This is what I'm going to try to not do. And a lot of times they'll give you advice. I also look at birth stories on YouTube. I do a lot of YouTube birth stories, and I always am interested in that as well, because like I said, it's just more stories that I can look at that are going to be educational so that I can know what to do, what not to do in situations that these women have been in. I did want to share though, when it comes to these birth stories, I do my best if it's on YouTube to make sure that I'm not watching negative birth stories. Thankfully, a lot of the women that share their birth stories put positive birth story at the end of it, and those are the ones that I gravitate towards. I don't watch the bad birth stories because I don't want to get unnecessarily scared for my birth. I want to, one day when I give birth, I want to go into it with faith and with confidence that my body was meant to do this and I can get through this. But if I am always watching negative birth stories and freaking myself out, it's just not going to be the best mindset going into birth. So that's one thing I will say is if you are watching birth stories on YouTube, try to make sure that it's the positive ones and not the negative ones. Another thing that I do is educate myself on fertility. I do use the Flow app, and honestly, I love it because it's a way to track your period so I know when it's coming. But I also love the education that they have on the app where it'll tell you certain ways to have better fertility in the way that you eat, and then it'll have things for you to ask doctors in the app and different things like that. So that's a great source there. I also just look online of how to have the best fertility, how to be the best that I possibly can when it comes to fertility. A lot of it is just being healthy and eating good foods and just being an all-around healthy person. But I do my best to just educate myself on fertility. Another thing that I'm doing is learning about motherhood. So I love to learn from good people about motherhood. People that are Christians, people who love being mothers about motherhood. Yes, I listen to some of the bad stories too, but what I've learned from the women who are always talking about the bad sides of motherhood and women who talk about the good sides, it's all about the mindset a lot of the times. A lot of the times, the women who are always talking about their child being a burden and that they regret motherhood and it's the most awful thing, a lot of it is just their mindset and them not realizing that motherhood does change you and make you into a new person. So I do my best to learn about motherhood, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't always dive deep into that because that side of the internet can become very toxic because there's a lot of women on that side of the internet that will basically like try to make you not be excited for motherhood and will basically try to put a damper on something that's supposed to be beautiful. So I do my best to learn about motherhood, but I learn from people who are actually putting a good view on motherhood and who are believers and who I align with a lot of values. So that's what I do. And then another thing is I learn about birth, and that's kind of what I said when I talked about the birth stories, but I do my best to watch videos learning about different types of births and what birth I would like one day. I know this is something that I can really think about, like, you know, in my pregnancy, you have 9 months to prepare. God gave us that time to really prepare for pregnancy, but I am someone who is just super interested. So yeah, I'm looking into it. I'm looking into what I want. Do I want a water birth? Do I want to just have a birth in my tub? Do I want to go to the hospital for my first birth? Do I want a midwife? Do I want all these different things? I know I want a midwife, by the way. But I am doing my best to educate myself on the type of birth that I am going to have one day because I want to have a good birth experience for all millions of my children. I hope I have a lot of children one day, but I want to have a good birth. I want it to be on my own terms. I want it to be something that I can look back and be proud of. It's just something that I want. So I love to look into different types of births and what is best for me. Now, the last overarching thing that I am working on before we even decide to have babies is praying for my future children. I am praying for my future children, for the men and women they will become in the future, for, you know, them to be great husbands and wives and fathers and mothers one day, for them to be, you know, for what they'll do one day. I'm praying that they will follow God. I'm doing a lot of praying for my future children because I truly believe that it matters. I pray for my future pregnancy. I pray that my body is fertile. I just do a lot of praying when it comes to all of these subjects because I think it's so important and it's something that we forget about sometimes. I mean, I'm not perfect at praying for these things all the time, but when I remember, I do my best to pray. I pray for a fertile body. I pray for, you know, my husband's body to be very healthy as well. All of these things I pray about, and I think it's so important. I also thank God for what I have. Thanking God for being able to wake up another day, thanking God for the things that I have today and not worrying about, you know, having what other people have. And here's what I mean. I follow a lot of women who have mommy accounts and it's all about, you know, motherhood and their babies and they always have the cutest little babies. And then as someone who wants a child so bad and who is excited for what's to come in the future with being a mother, it can be hard to not envy that. So I'm doing my best to, instead of being jealous of what other women have, I'm doing my best to be grateful for what I do have, grateful for my husband, grateful for the life that God has given us. So that is a big aspect of this. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. I am all about preparing. I'm super excited to be a mother one day, and I honestly can't wait. I know that this was a lot of information, so definitely let me know in the comments if you guys are preparing for birth and motherhood and, you know, being pregnant. I'd love to know what you guys are doing. I know I probably definitely forgot a few things in the video, so if I did, I'll just leave it in the description below. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in another video. Bye guys.